I am Luciana Hartwin. Welcome to the Temple of Bastet. If you find value here, please share, like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome to part 1 of our exploration into Thoth. In this first video, we'll begin exploring one of the most complex and revered deities in ancient Egyptian mythology, Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, the moon, and magic. Thoth's influence spans not only Egyptian mythology, but also extends through the realms of alchemy, astrology, and modern spirituality. Given the depth of his significance, I've decided to break this deep dive into 2 parts. In part 1, we'll explore his origins, mythological role, and the powerful symbolism that surrounds him, from his role as the scribe of the gods to his connection with the moon and time. We'll start to unravel the many facets of Thoth's character. In the second part, we'll delve deeper into his influence on writing, magic, and knowledge, including his lasting legacy in esoteric traditions and modern spiritual practices. So join me as we uncover the mysteries of Thoth, god of the word, the moon, and the cosmic order. Let's begin our journey. The one who writes the world. In the beginning, there was silence, and then there was the word. And it is said that Thoth, lord of measure and melody, wrote that word into being. He is not the thunderous god of war, nor the golden god of the sun. Thoth is something quieter, stranger perhaps, the ink that bleeds between stars, the feather's edge of truth. He stands not at the center of stories, but at the edge of them, scroll in hand, pen poised, recording everything. He is the scribe who remembers what gods forget. In the pantheon of ancient Egypt, Thoth is the divine mind made manifest, god of wisdom, of sacred language, and the precision of hieroglyphics. He governs time not as a tyrant, but as a librarian, cataloging every second, every cycle of the moon, every breath of eternity. He is both the judge and the pen that records the judgment, the magician who knows every spell, and the scholar who dreams of structure. If the universe is a great riddle, Thoth is the whisper behind the answer. This deep dive will unfurl the many aspects of Thoth, from the cryptic myths of his birth to his role as divine mediator, from the ibis-headed god of scribes to the shadowy figure behind hermetic alchemy. We'll explore his symbols, his temples, his moonlight mysteries. We'll follow him into the afterlife, into the secret chambers of the emerald tablets, and into the minds of seekers who still call his name beneath modern stars. After all, every tale needs a storyteller, and Thoth is the god who remembers. Origins and mythological role. The one born of Thoth. Some say Thoth was born from the lips of Ra, the sun god, emerging not from flesh or bone, but from the divine word itself. Others claim he simply was, self-created in the deep hush of non-existence, not unlike Thoth, who dreamt the world into being. In both tales, Thoth arrives already full of knowing, an architect of meaning, a god of thought, formed in the silence before language took its first breath. His relationship with Mayat, a goddess of truth and cosmic balance, is one of complement and convergence, where Mayat represents the order of the universe. Thoth is the one who measures it, who ensures it continues to turn. Some traditions pair them as consorts, truth and understanding, justice and record-keeping, ever entwined. Others place him as her divine advocate, arguing for her principles in both mortal courts and celestial ones. Within the mythic structure of the Heliopolitan Aeneid, the great family of gods descending from Atum. Thoth often stands outside the drama, but never far from its consequences. He is the scribe and advisor, the divine diplomat. During the bitter feud between Horus and Seth for the throne of Osiris, Thoth served as an impartial mediator, not swayed by passion or pride. He healed the wounded eye of Horus and restored it to wholeness, crafting it into a symbol of protection and healing. He soothed Seth's rage when none other could. And in the Duat, the shadowy halls of the afterlife, Thoth waits with his reed pen beside the scales where the hearts of the dead are weighed against Ma'at's feather. He does not judge, but he records, which in the end may be more powerful. The gods may debate, the heart may tremble, but Thoth writes the truth of it down. He is also the moon, not merely a silver reflection of Ra's blazing sun, but a necessary counterweight. The lunar cycles were his gift, months, tides, seasons, all measured by the steady eye of his ibis eye. When Re raged and devoured time, Thoth gathered its remnants and built a calendar from its broken days. He is said to have added extra days to the year itself, so that Nut, the sky, could birth her forbidden children, Osiris, Isis, Set, Nephthys, and Horus the Elder. Time, like words, bends under Thoth's hand. He is a god of margins, of the spaces between light and dark, speech and silence, life and afterlife. Where other gods burn or roar, Thoth writes. He counts the stars and calms the storms. Through him, the great machine of heaven turns just a little more smoothly. Attributes and symbolism. The scribe with the ibis face. Thoth walks quietly through the mythic landscape, yet everywhere he steps, the world becomes more legible. You will know him by his face, the long, curved beak of the ibis, graceful and enigmatic. The ibis was sacred to the scribes of Egypt, often seen stalking the edges of marshes in still, deliberate movements. Like Thoth, the bird is a creature of balance and clarity, never rushed, always precise. In his ibis-headed form, Thoth becomes the embodiment of contemplative thought, patient, observant, always calculating the weight of a word before it is spoken. Yet his earliest form was not the ibis, but the baboon. In this older incarnation, Thoth sits wide-eyed and alert, a creature of dawn who greets the sun with chattering praise. Baboons, though earthly and even chaotic, were considered sacred in ancient Egypt, symbols of intelligence and guardianship. They were often seen perched at the doors of temples, as scribes themselves, overseeing the recording of divine law. In this shape, Thoth is less abstract, more visceral, the divine mind in an animal body, wild and ancient, older than papyrus, older even than the Nile. Always, Thoth carries the tools of his divinity, the writing palette, stylus, and scroll. These are not mere accessories. They are the instruments through which the cosmos is recorded and maintained. He writes not just for gods, but for time itself. His words shape reality. His inscriptions are spells. In many depictions, he also wears a lunar disk, crowned with a crescent, a visible reminder of his dominion over the moons and its cycles. In one hand, he may bear a scepter or an ankh, the keys to power and eternal life, because language, too, is a form of immortality. The creatures sacred to him, the ibis and the baboon, were not just symbolic, but part of ritual life. Mummified ibises were offered to him in vast numbers, buried in catacombs by those seeking his favor. Baboons were kept at temples, honored and fed, treated as living emissaries of divine wisdom. Thoth's primary cult center was Hermopolis, the city of 8, named for the Og Duid, the 8 primordial beings who swam in the chaos before creation. It was here, in this city of cosmic beginnings, that Thoth was worshipped as the one who brought structure to the formless. He organized the chaos of the deep with words, numbers, and rhythm. To walk the streets of Hermopolis was to walk beneath the eye of order, to live in the heart of divine thought. In the flickering lamplight of temples, among the scrolls and inkpots, Thoth endures, not through thunder, but through meaning. He is the one who gives voice to the universe, and who teaches mortals that to write is to remember, and to remember is to create. Thoth's role in magic, writing, and knowledge. The architect of the invisible. In the beginning there was the Word, but before the word was spoken, it had to be shaped, formed from silence, birthed from the breath of meaning. That shaping belonged to Thoth. It is said that Thoth invented writing, not simply the act of scratching symbols onto stone or unfurling lines of ink across papyrus, but the very idea that thought could live outside the mind, that memory could become permanent, that stories could endure longer than the lips that spoke them. He gave the gods their language. He wrote the names of stars, recorded the measurements of time, and etched into existence the spells that held the world in place. The sacred hieroglyphics, or words of the gods, were his greatest gift. Each glyph a symbol alive with power, each phrase a key. In this script, Thoth did not merely chronicle the will of the divine, he encoded magic itself into form. Words, under his influence, became more than tools. They became incantations. A well-chosen sentence could tilt the axis of a life. A scroll could summon or protect, destroy or heal. Some whisper of a forbidden text, the Book of Thoth, a legendary tomb hidden in the depths of time. It was said to contain the secrets of the heavens and the earth. Spells to speak with animals, to raise the dead, to see the gods face to face. But like all great knowledge, it was guarded. To read from the book was to risk madness, or worse, revelation. For within it lay truths the mortal mind was never meant to hold. Yet the temptation lingers, eternal, the call of the hidden page, the whisper from beyond the script. Thoth was also the patron of Heka, the Egyptian concept of magical power. Not just the act of spell casting, but the raw divine energy that infused the universe. Every ritual invoked him. Every prayer, whether offered to Ra or Isis or a forgotten household god, passed first through his ears. He was the divine translator, the intermediary between intention and effect. Priests invoked him before carving a spell into stone, before intoning the names of the dead. His presence infuses the Book of the Dead, that guidebook for the soul's perilous journey through Duat, the underworld. In the infamous scene of the weighing of the heart, it is Thoth who records the verdict. The scales are balanced by Mayet, feather of truth, the heart of the deceased placed opposite. Anubis oversees the test, but it is Thoth, scribe and witness, who writes the result in his endless ledger. Should the heart be found wanting, it is not his to pass judgment. He does not condemn, but he remembers. In this role, Thoth becomes the great impartial eye. He is truth without cruelty, memory without distortion. He ensures that every soul receives justice, not from vengeance, but from cosmic balance. In a world of shifting gods and feuding deities, Thoth remains still. His power is in clarity. His magic is that of comprehension. Even now, long after the temples have crumbled and the scrolls have faded to dust. He waits in the spaces between worlds, in the quiet of study, in the flicker of a candle beside an open book, in the sudden chill of knowing something just beyond your grasp. That is Thoth. And if you listen carefully, if you write with devotion, you may just hear him turning pages behind the veil. Thank you for joining me for part 1 of a deep dive into Thoth. If you found value here, please share, like, comment, and subscribe. Part 2 will be posted next week. And I am Luciana Hartwin. Thank you for joining me today here in the Temple of Bastet.